Hello, good afternoon, Danse, or maybe even good morning when I post this. The 265 class here, just a quick little update on it again. Like I said, I was going to update. We will adjust sort of when the assignments are going to be due. I'm going to take a look at that today. But today, I wanted to do two classes with just to sort of give you a little heads up on what's out there. There's on the 15th, well, this past week we did treaty, but then I didn't have my treaty kit, and there's actually two different kits, like I had said in the past post. There's one kit and they kind of look like this. This is what they OTC.ca. They have wonderful kits, and within the kits, they have all the packages, and it'll also depend on what treaty territory that you're on. Okay, so they'll have treaty medals. They're gonna go through what treaty is, and then this also covers colonization and the effects that First Nations people have and continue to have in terms of colonization. Right now, we have people that are struggling right now on the East Coast in terms of fisheries and the rights to lobster fishing and stuff like that. That I'm sort of just keeping an eye out on, and we sort of have that same problem here in terms of hunting rights and fishing rights as well, freshwater of course here, but the understanding of what these represent, and the treaty commissioner, which is a wonderful office out in Saskatoon. They did commission all the schools, all the provincial schools, everybody, reserve schools, everybody to have a treaty kit, but then there's also going to be instruction. And like I said last week, there's going to be, there is a revamping of it because it was condensed in a 2-day session. And because colonization, treaty and colonization, these are the topics for these past 2 weeks. These, you have the Queen on one side, and then you have, these were all given to the treaty chiefs that signed in their particular area. Fort Carlton, Fort Pitt, and then down in the Treaty 4 territory in the Fort Qu'Appelle area, and then all the numbered treaties, even Treaty 8 and Treaty 10, Northern Saskatchewan. And they have in these kits beautiful maps, and I'll just pull out one. Here's one example, and every class or every school should have these by now. So you have this wonderful map, historical location, the provincial. You can see the border boundaries of the provinces, but then you also see the borders of all the treaty territories. Now these are land sharing agreements, and this is something that needs to be conveyed to everybody. Like there seems to be some confusion going on in terms of peace and friendship, and then you have the RCMP that are sort of straightening things out on the East Coast in terms of what those agreements are and how binding and how powerful they are. Also, I love this kit because everything's in here. You have little booklets like this, depending on the treaties and law. You have different volumes. You have a Lakota books that are available. What do they understand about treaty? That's what they have in there. Like these are all booklets. Peyton Dakota Nation, they have their own booklet there. So all these resources are pretty up to date. And then you actually have the written portion and the written understanding of Treaty 4. So the one that I have that I'm showing you right now is a Treaty 4 kit. And then if you're in Treaty 6 territory, of course, you're going to have a Treaty 6 written document, of course. And then a lot of these documents as well. Let's say one goes missing. What they do is, let's say this one, Indian Northern Affairs, you can actually find this one online. There's a lot of free documents, but this one's in the classroom. These are activities. These are lesson plans. Looking in here, You have introduction, transportation and travel, traditional dwellings, water, its many uses, and these are all split up in units. Unit 4, First Nations communities and reserves. Unit 5, the family. You know, Waguhtun is a big thing for First Nations people, for ourselves, and that doesn't matter if we live in urban or rural. First Nations and the environment, elders, the imaginary Indian, it's got one unit on that, and then of course First Nations heroes that we have, most likely veterans and whatnot. And then here's another nice little document again. And then in the table of contents here, you have storytelling, the seasons, how important they are, the 4 seasons, some even north, they have the 6 seasons. The idea of sharing the different colors, there's some games, and then also Aboriginal Day, right? So there's units that they cover in these. And again, I'm just flying through this one, okay? And these are in all the university will probably do training on this if you haven't taken it already. Making the connection, Cree First Nations, Gichteg, thoughts on education. So there could be some nice outcomes in here that you could possibly find. People of the Buffalo, Métis and Elder, Maria Campbell, how the Plains Indians live. So that's a nice little document. This one here is a real gem. A lot of these elders, Gordon Oaks right there, Gordon Oaks Center on campus. There's the elder right there. And all these quotes that are in here dealing with the commission and, recognizing the elders in our province here, of course, is a good thing. Another one here, but this is the one that they're working on right now. So this comes in the kit, and there's a kit for, again, I said high school, but also elementary, This one does go through colonization. So a lot of different, there's a lot of things that we're continuing to go through. And on a side note, if you go on CBC, if you can, I don't know where it would be. I think it's streaming free right now, but Indian Horse. And that talks about residential school, and it follows this young boy that goes into residential school, learns how to play hockey. He's a really good hockey player, but going through the cycles of abuse, sexual abuse, and a real story. And it's actually a pretty powerful movie that's on CBC that's airing. I am sure I had an email that come across. So in here, the table of contents, okay? And again, I'm not going to go through all this stuff, but I just want to make sure that people understand what's all in here. And I didn't get to the best part yet. Okay, so I love their kit because it covers all the topics that are on here, and I have passion for these topics of of us, because when I went to school, there was a lot of Eurocentric type of education. Like I knew about Vikings, I knew about Christopher Columbus, I knew all European history, Latin, all those Romans, I knew about all that, but then it didn't reflect what I saw at home. I didn't know about our stories, they weren't shared in those schools. And then if you read a lot of these documents, a lot of these elders were saying, yes, learn about our relatives' ways, but don't forget our ways either. And then try to work and try to communicate and build a really good future together, because all of us have to live together. And then that's where that term, we are all treaty people, comes from, because it takes a relationship, right? And we have to build on these relationships. So now, just real quick summary here. Essential learning, and then the treaties, and then what this is it goes through the treaty partners, and then it goes through the definition of treaties, First Nations people treaty making, pre-Confederation treaties. But I want to stop there real quick, because we still have the sun dances, we still have rain dances, we still have the round dances, the ghost dances, we still have our sweat lodges, we still have our pipe ceremonies. We still have our songs. We still have our languages. We still have our different ways of doing things, and our worldview is also still very active, right? So that's the thing I want to talk about too. Is like what happened pre treaties, and we have treaties. We've had treaties, and we continue to do ceremony, and we acknowledge those treaties between us and the Dene, us and the Blackfoot, us and our brothers going all the way out to the East Coast and all the way even down to the States. We still have ceremonies and songs that let us know about that last ice age, So I'm very glad for our relatives that do that. And then there's another thing that's happening pretty soon here in our area is a relationship that we have with the moose. We have a treaty with the moose, and then it's the same treaty that we had with the buffalo, right? There was things that were taken care of, like shelter. We were given clothing. We were given tools. We were given technology. We were given a future. We were given meat. We were given all these different things, and we still continue to give thanks to those animals and our relatives. So that's another thing too. When Kitsoamno, we call our relatives that came across the big Kichigami, the big ocean. We knew about our relatives on that side. We also knew our relatives that were on the west, east, and then south and north. They were all over. We knew about that. So treaty making was not something new. It wasn't us just hanging out and doing whatever, just waiting to be discovered. It was nothing like that. In fact, we had commerce, we had trading systems, we had this thing called hand talk, right? Na pio, na isquil, and then kapihta, no, nichiwagan. Or we could talk with our hands. So that those trading routes are still very much alive, and we still continue to use them. And then now these numbered treaties, which are the peace and friendship treaties way on the East Coast, and then they go on the Robinson Huron treaties, and then the numbered treaties 1 to 11, and then the modern day treaties as well. These are all in here, right? So you can teach them, and it's a really nice book. But this one here is being replaced by, so I'm gonna put this down, by this book here, or this is the revamping. Okay, so they'll probably bind it and everything else a lot nicer, of course, because they do an amazing job. And now here's a few more books. There are some videos, but you can download these and view them off of their website. But you have to register on their website, and you can have access to all these different short little videos, and then they'll tell you exactly where to use them as well, at what grade level, so you're not constantly showing the same content, of course. And then little things like this. There's Little Pine. There's the Meadow Lake Tribal Council put together something, and then as well as some stories. Chief Harry LaFond, who's an elder, who's a knowledge keeper, Ugimao, I call him because he's done his time, right? He should be respected like that, and he's still living, right? And he's so respectful. Now here's the kindergarten to grade 6. This is what I wanted to show you guys. This is such good news that you have something like this already done for you. Look how thick that is. And guess what? These are split up. And all the lesson plans, all the outcomes, when to use those videos, how to use this entire package is in here, and it's done for you. Grade 1 is done. And I remember way back, like when this was starting, I was one of the pilot teachers that was allowed to take something like this home and go through it and teach everything that's in here. So it's like it's a very, very well done. Hats off to the instructors, the pilot teachers, the researchers, and OTC that put this together. So this is like, this video is like a 2-in-1 type of video, right? So it's like, and that's the kit for the K to 6 group, and it packages up in this nice little box, and you can just go ask your librarian and ask them to see if you could use this. And let's say if you're doing your internship, like your internship could be based on this. You'd have to talk to your instructor, your teacher, your cooperating teacher, and maybe ask them to say, do you mind if I try this kit out? Or if you're really confident, like just teach this, because everyone's got to do it anyways. And then it doesn't have to be, it could be spread out through the year, because our worldview is structured like that anyways, where we follow the seasons right now. Like I said, the moose hunt is really important for us. Up here, we live kind of like what you call a food desert, I guess, where Cold Lake, it's probably about an hour away. That's the nearest grocery store. So we grow a lot of we started learning how to grow gardens, bigger gardens, community gardens, and we're still learning how to do that. Jobs are not that close. We have to try to create employment as much as we can, and yeah, we're. But when you look at it the other way, we have a lake here, and there's lots of fish there. There's a waterfowl here. We've been gifted a whole bunch of different berries that were really good this year, and they're still actually pretty good picking left to do, drying our fish and then harvesting the wild meats. And then people that are, like, let's say my community, a lot of people are not employed, so it's pretty tough. Lots of people, they walk all year round. Overcrowding of housing, because of the lack of quality housing, number of housing, employment. So that all these different things they escalate, they multiply. And then, when the fear of COVID came, and this is why, like, I was I love the topics, because I'm living it. Like, we're living it. We're trying to organize ourselves as best as possible, just in case something happens. Are we able, to look after ourselves? Or do we have the capacity to do that? Right? If there's an outbreak here, how is our community going to look like? We're so social. We love gatherings. There's social distancing has really mentally affected everybody in the world. And then for us, like, all our ceremonies, we're always together. We're singing. We have feasts, and we have and then to have that severed, and the social distance. We can't celebrate birthday parties for a little while. Nobody was visiting. Everybody was so, the media had a big part to do with that. And then we started sort of spreading out a little bit, and started gathering. We started gardening. We started teaching our children sort of like the old ways, like hide tanning, birch bark, canoe building. Right now they're making birch bows, traditional bows, just to keep the mind going, and keep the hands going, and also to instill some pride, right? Like I said, when I went to school, I didn't learn anything about there. It wasn't culturally responsive. Like, there was nothing Cree. There was nothing, and I went to school at Loon Lake in northern Saskatchewan. I went to school in Saskatoon, and there was nothing that reflected my culture. And yet we're from here. It should reflect that, right? It should have Cree in there. It should have songs in there. It should have prayers. It should have our language in there. And like, I'm a language teacher, and that was my first language was Cree, and I learned English, and then eventually started, like, taking French classes in Loon Lake, which was okay. I didn't mind that, but it was like, well, what about our languages? Isn't there we should be fair about this. And I started looking into it, and then here, this treaty kit is actually the one that teaches everybody like what those treaties are about, and they're complex, but if breaking down and how sacred they are, it does bring a better Canada forward. It does, develop relationships where, you can talk business, you can talk responsibility, you can talk, about the future. You can dream and plan about the future. So that's, so those are just some of the things that as when I piloted this, and I teach how to use this kit as well. Part of the speakers bureau that goes all over the province, and then there's also a beautiful group that's just formed, and I don't know, I can't remember where this, but it's called the Land Sharing Network, and it's like a bunch of farmers came, and these are landowners that own the title, I should say, that are title holders to the land, but they're starting to realize, no, there's something else in here. Like we're taught a totally different history, and they're starting to find the holes through that history. So what these kids tend to do is they actually go through the Royal Proclamation. How could something be written in treaty form way over here, and it's written out in Ottawa, and it's being negotiated at the same time in Fort Pitt or Fort Carleton. So those are the things that these kids do. They get into it. But anyway, I'd like to thank you guys. And here's the other kit right here. This is the high school kit, and I'm hoping that you guys can take advantage of those kits. And colonization is in here as well. It goes right into it, and it'll, like I said, a big shout out to that. If you can see that Richard Wagamis, I think, is the one that was the playwright, but it's become a movie, and it's Indian Horse, and it's on CBC, and I'm pretty sure it's streaming live. And I'll also update the. I think we got it figured out now. Again, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Like I said, we're up here doing what we do, and at the same time, we were struggling with getting everything online, clicking every little button, and making sure all that content and reading is up to date on that on the Blackboard, and then and of course Canvas. So I got told to use WebEx, and I can't use WebEx; it lags too much. But I'm gonna still try to record and then upload. But this one's gonna be a YouTube video, and then that seemed to work last time, so I'm gonna do it again, and then it'll give me a little bit more time to possibly. I might even have to just go somewhere and go pre-record something out there. All right, so just email me, and I do have a TA as well, and thank goodness he's been helpful as well. So okay, muy estás.